are live. Cool. All right. Feels good to be back once again. Welcome to the Inner Circle podcast, premier podcast for Xbox One. Um, I just want to first and foremost thank everybody for the support as usual. We are very grateful and appreciative of that. And I definitely one second. I definitely want to thank everybody for stopping in the chat and hanging out with us tonight. Um, yeah, I had a little rant a couple of days ago. I will address that rant. Obviously, some fans bugging out, talking about why am I bugging or whatever. I will explain my reasoning in a few. Um, and I got some stuff to give away. I like to show the crowd finally. My camera's working. Here's what's crazy about this. This is the camera working on my laptop. I literally went out and bought a brand new camera because this laptop camera was not working. I turned my laptop on today, and guess what light pops on? The damn camera light. So I just wasted like $75 on a brand new camera, which is insane to me. Absolutely insane to me. But let's begin. Let's start the show because we don't have a lot of time, and I want to get through a lot of topics and talk about a lot of things. All right, so here we go. Thank you for listening to the Inner Circle podcast. Let's do that again. Thank you for listening to the Inner Circle podcast, the premier podcast for Xbox One. I'm your host, KLR X Kal-El, and with B Money 101.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
And Acreman V.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
We make up the Inner Circle. Jumping right in, man, to some topics. The first thing we're going to talk about is Crash Bandicoot. Recently there was some news that came out that Crash Bandicoot possibly might not be exclusive to PlayStation 4. And a lot of people was banking on this game being exclusive to PlayStation 4. It was bolstering the PS4 lineup. Some fans, especially Xbox fans, felt like it was impossible for that to be an exclusive because of the simple fact that it's made by Activision and not Sony. And for all the stuff that Activision has been toting about it being exclusive and PlayStation being exclusive, somewhere along the way, Activision Ireland tweets out that it is coming to PlayStation 4 first. Now, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. Now, that could be a typo. That could be a mistake or tweet on their part. But I don't understand why all of your divisions wouldn't be on the same page. And to me, this reminds me of the whole Tomb Raider fiasco with Xbox. And the reason why I'm saying that is because Microsoft went out and, they worked out a deal with Square and Crystal Dynamics, and they got Tomb Raider, and they were able to secure that as an exclusive. At the time, most people thought it was exclusive because it was like exclusively in holiday 2015. And people was like, the wording was weird, but they said exclusive in 2015. What does that mean? Most people was led to believe that it was a timed exclusive, but no one came out and said it was. I had spoken to people like Aaron Greenberg myself personally and had asked him, is the game exclusive? And he said at the time, yes, it was exclusive. They were funding the game. It was exclusive. And to me, that was it. I didn't question anything else after that. It was an exclusive title. There was nothing brought up about it. But the PlayStation fans had just harped on about it. Shu also didn't know that it was going to be exclusive, which probably caught him by surprise. And being that these are two Japanese mega companies, I would expect them to have some sort of dialogue. And it just probably was so overwhelming for Square that they decided to come out and says, yes, it's coming to PlayStation 4 in a year, which in my opinion ruined the whole entire timed exclusivity deal. Like, even if it's a timed exclusive deal and you're trying to keep it to the point to where no one knows about the exclusivity until the end of the deal, that helps that title get sales on your platform. But as soon as people found out that thing was going to PlayStation 4 and it was coming to PC, that immediately killed any exclusive deal, any exclusive sales you would have got on Xbox immediately. Because now people had decided to wait. It wasn't worth going out to get an Xbox for this one title, even if the title was good, which it was. It was highly rated, great critical reception, really great game. I got like 90% of that game almost complete, and I beat the game. And for some reason, that they let the cat out the bag. Now we have the same thing with Crash Bandicoot. People feel like Crash Bandicoot was an exclusive title because it started on PlayStation. It was a PlayStation game and it belongs on PlayStation. And there was no way it was going to Xbox. And Activision went on stage and talked about the game coming to PlayStation 4. They didn't say anything about PS4 first. They didn't say anything about time of exclusivity. And most of the time, all you seen was the PS4 logo and the Activision logo. There's no mention of PC, Steam, Windows 10, Xbox, any other device out there. Only PlayStation and Nintendo, PlayStation and Activision. So now that Ireland has come out and they stated that is a possibility that it will be first on PlayStation, which opens up the possibility for it to come to other platforms. I'm not sure it would go to. I'm not sure that it would go to PC. Now the Switch is a strong possibility, but Bandicoot's never really. I don't remember Crash Bandicoot ever being on any Nintendo platform. Was it on GameCube? You guys remember that?
I think it was actually.
It was the late stuff.
It was the fourth game, Wrath of Cortex, I believe, was on GameCube.
Okay. So you have that. You had some titles on 360. I think you might have had a title on Xbox at some point. So I mean, it's been on the Xbox platform. Maybe not the first 3 games, but it's definitely. Yeah. So exactly. So seeing a Crash game be rebooted and heading to Xbox seems logical. And now that this is out, a lot of people are flipping the script. Some fans are upset. Some fans can't believe this is happening. It's the end of the world. And other fans are, happy and ecstatic about it. To me, Crash Bandicoot has been a cool mascot, but he wasn't like the greatest mascot in the world. I think his games early on were good on PS2. Over time, they kind of got too extreme and it lost the lure, and that's why Crash wound up falling off as a mascot. But currently, this is a big deal. And I literally just saw someone post a petition because PlayStation fans want that game to be exclusively on PlayStation and not to hit any other platforms. A petition to keep a third-party game off of another platform. And to me, that is a sad state of affairs for gaming. And it's very disappointing to know that people are that desperate to, I guess, hold on to whatever little, bullet points that they have in this fake console war, which to me is just damaging gaming and damaging gamers as friends and starting all types of arguments and beefs for no reason.
Now, I'm in a weird position. I am the young one here. I'm in my low 20s here. When I was growing up, Crash Bandicoot was PlayStation.
Right.
No doubt was PlayStation. It doesn't matter. It didn't matter what, even if he went exclusive later. The thing with the Crash Bandicoot games is after they went multi-plat, they were just garbage. They were just forgettable. I think the only game outside those three was probably Crash Bandicoot Racing. Like, that was probably the only one that was like really worth a damn to me. So for me, seeing these three games coming to other platforms other than PlayStation is a travesty, honestly. Because to see the possibility that Sony threw down money for just timed exclusivity and didn't throw down the rest of the money just for the full exclusivity on this, it just mind-blowing to me. I mean, because like I said before, Crash Bandicoot was PlayStation. It was, I feel like they should have treated this with more reverence. Like they brought it out for E3, and it was Sean Lane who said we're bringing Crash Bandicoot back. That's great. I applaud them for that. But just if this is true, then it really is just a timed exclusive thing. I just feel like it's such a missed opportunity, and they should have treated Crash Bandicoot with more reverence than that. I'm like, on one hand, I'm glad other people are going to get to play it. I'm glad other platforms are going to be able to experience it, but it just feels wrong. It's going to feel so wrong if it comes to Xbox. It will be like the equivalent of, just hypothetically, let's just say like if Halo was in the same way Crash Bandicoot was, like in terms of the feeling, like to see
Crash Bandicoot was
at a level of
the
Halo 4 and onward, where like, okay, those were multi-plat games. And to see they find out, okay, Master Chief Collection is going to come out and it's not exclusive.
Bad analogy.
Xbox.
Yeah, I mean, I can't look at it like that just because Halo is such a big game, and you know, at the time, like Crash was just a cool mascot. Like his games were never, you know, that huge. You know what I mean? They never, you know, had these monumental sales or anything like that. For me, as far as the exclusive, the game being exclusive, like I really don't. It doesn't bother me at all. Like I've been playing Crash since the OG game, and then even into like some of the games that were, you know, pretty trash after, you know, the first 3 games. So I've been playing it for a while. I've played on multiple platforms, whether it's, you know, PS2, Xbox 360. So for me, like it wasn't a big deal. Like I really don't care that it's going to other platforms. I'm actually pretty happy about it. For me, like I'm a big platformer fan, so anytime like more platformers can be available and to more gamers, I mean that's a plus for me, and that's a plus for people who like those types of games because they're not released that often.
Right.
And so when more people can play them, I think it's great for gamers. You know, the first 3 games were made by Naughty Dog, and you know, Sony kind of just sold the IP, so obviously it wasn't that important to them. They kind of just let it go. It would be almost if you know, if Microsoft decided not to do anything with Conquer anymore and they just sold that IP. You know what I mean? If that game went multi-platform, like it wouldn't be a big deal. It'd be cool. Like, yeah, you know what I mean? But it wouldn't be a big deal.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
maybe
agree.
Conker's a better analogy than Halo, but just I was trying to get the idea like this was like the mascot. Like
Yeah, I mean, I think if you want to like let's say if it was Fable, because Fable's like a tier 2 title. It was never as big as the big 3, the Forza, the Gears, that Halo, but it was solid. It wasn't a mascot title, but you could understand if that game went multi-platform down the road because Microsoft sold it, people would be like, well, it belongs on Xbox because it started on Xbox, and I could see that. But Crash, Crash, yeah, if it was an exclusive to PlayStation, honestly, I wouldn't care. And honestly, I don't think most Xbox fans should care. And it's not that they shouldn't care because if you love the game, it's not coming to your platform. I think that is only right. Just like I felt like if Knights of the Old Republic came out, and as a big Knights of the Old Republic fan, it's the reason why I fell in love with BioWare and why to this day, BioWare is my favorite studio between that and Mass Effect. You know, I would feel some sort of way if the game didn't come first to Xbox or wasn't first on Xbox or wasn't on Xbox at all. I would literally just be distraught, I literally be distraught. So, for me, I get where some of the fans are coming from and things like that. But long story short, it's a third-party title, and we're always complaining about third-party exclusivity. It's the biggest gripe most gamers have this generation. Is this third-party exclusive stuff, third-party exclusive content, third-party exclusive DLC, third-party exclusive timed for 6 months to a year. Like, this is the biggest thing that people are complaining about. And, Phil wants to stop it. He wants to stop it. But I don't see Sony doing that. And to me, if they're not going to stop doing it, and I don't think they will stop doing it, I don't think Microsoft should stop doing it. I mean, you have to compete. You have to compete. And if this is what's getting people to come to your console because you're getting these nostalgic deals and stuff like that, then you have to do that, which is part of my rant that I went on the other day, which was very obviously a very explosive rant between Xbox fans and myself, and I will touch on that in just a few seconds. But at the end of the day, man, it's good for everyone. I do hope it goes to every platform available and everybody gets a chance to play it, because I did like the redesign and I do like what they've done with the remaster aspect of it. And Crash is just a cool mascot, man. He's cool, he's funny. He was the opposite of Mario and Sonic, though Sonic was cool because he was all about speed. Sonic was the cool mascot. Crash came in like a bat out of hell. He's hanging out at Nintendo's, offices with signs and blowhorns and, calling people out and taking shots. Like he was a cool mascot. It really did separate PlayStation from Nintendo, where PlayStation was all goody two shoes and PlayStation was the bad boy in the room. And that's what I really loved about Crash and what I remember most about him. So it's just funny, and I really hope it does go multi-plat. Okay, moving on. Ding. So I had a little rant a couple days ago. I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, and in my rant, I happened to go on Twitter and talk about a few things. And I think this is what most people are trying to understand. Why did I think the way that I thought, and why did I say the things that I said? And I'll explain to it. And to this day, so right now, until I see something from E3, I'm sticking with my thought process. First and foremost, I want people to understand that yes, Tick Podcast is a media group. Yes, TICGN is a media group. However, even as a podcast, we still have opinions and things. And everything we say isn't always facts. If it's an opinion, it's an opinion. And sometimes you have people who want to know why you're saying these things, and it's detrimental. Like, why are you bashing the console? Why are you bashing Xbox? Why are you going against Xbox? Everything has to be positive, positive, positive. And listen, you can't be like that all the time, because then if everything you do is positive, you're just Xbox Defense Force. That's what you are. Who can take you seriously if you're just a yes man? If everything that they shove out and everything that they do, you're just like a yes man to. That doesn't make any sense to me. And I don't think I could ever operate that way. I don't want Tick to operate that way. I really don't. And I think that's disingenuous to the listeners. When things are bad, I think they should be talked about and discussed. And if the executives and the developers are listening, then hopefully that makes them more aware of maybe what some of the fans are thinking, some of the things that fans are feeling. So very quickly, what happened was I happened to be in a conversation with a friend named Inferno. He was going on about, Phil Spencer going to Japan, which we'll touch on as well, and talking about Xbox and stuff like that. And what wound up happening was we were talking, and I wound up talking to him about the Adam Boyce interview. And in the Adam Boyce interview, when we spoke about this on Tick Podcast a while ago, I spoke about how they got Shenmue and why they go after certain games and the way they go after certain games and why developers have their phones ringing off the hook. I remember, and Edgar, you remember this, he said when he was at Sony, Adam Boyce said when he was at PlayStation, he was at Sony, his phone would not stop ringing. Now he's at Iron Galaxy and most people don't even pick up. It's a major difference when you have people clamoring to get on your platform and you don't have anybody doing anything or really even making an effort. So he says that, there was an issue with Shenmue, and Shenmue was behind a lot of red tape. It's one of the reasons why the game never came out. One of the reasons why it was never a sequel. So a lot of red tape. They couldn't get the game out or whatever. He would get a lot of petitions, a lot of messages from a lot of Sony fans about wanting Shenmue. And when he looked at what was the number one game that everybody kept asking him about, they kept saying Shenmue. So he went to investigate the game. As he investigated the game, he figured out what was wrong with it, and they went above and beyond to get that game from behind the red tape. But before they funded the game, they wanted to know how many people wanted the game. So instead of them going ahead and funding the game and losing money on it, they wanted to make sure that it would go to a Kickstarter first to see if the backing was real, if the demand for it was as high as everyone who was asking for it was. And once the Kickstarter kicked off and everybody backed it so quickly, and it was like one of the highest backed games and the fastest amount of time. And I remember because me, B Money, and I think at the time David, we were like, yo, this is crazy. Like, it's already been funded in less than 24 hours. It's just nuts. Or they already hit the goal in less than 24 hours, which was crazy. We were just watching the thing go up. Once they saw that, then they decided they were going ahead and back it and make a copy for the PlayStation Gamer. Now, I had an inside source, and to this day, I still have that says that game will eventually hit Xbox because it's not a true exclusive. It's just first on. but I can't release that information, unfortunately. But at the end of the day, they went above and beyond to get that title. Then you talk about Crash Bandicoot. Then you talk about Final Fantasy VII. You know, I didn't care about whatever review had came out for Horizon Zero Dawn. A lot of people felt that I was reacting to Horizon Zero Dawn. I had been on Arc all day. I didn't even see the review for Horizon Zero Dawn. So it really wasn't about that. I was in Arc and I was chatting with my buddies. And then I started to sit there and think about what Microsoft was doing. And, you know, one of the things that they were doing was they started bringing back older titles, but they weren't bringing back the older titles that the fans had asked for. People had wanted stuff like the Mecha Sauce or the Crimson Skies or the Bloodwakes or the KOTORs or the Jade Empires, and just all these titles that Xbox fans remember what really made Xbox unique. They were asking for, and they weren't getting those titles. Other than Killer Instinct, which is probably the one of the biggest titles I think that have come back and has been absolutely successful, they decided to go with titles that weren't as gamer aware, stuff like Voodoo Vince, stuff like Phantom Dust, and those games didn't do well in the East. You know, they didn't do well mainly at all compared to any of the other platforms. So what wound up happening is I sat up here and I'm like, I don't play RTSs, I don't play Halo. Okay, you're not going to do a show early to show off Scorpio. You wind up having a terrible January because you just canceled Scalebound. And a lot of people to this day still blame you for it, even though we know that, you know, it's mainly Platinum's problem, mainly Platinum's fault. Lionhead Studios is closed down. You don't have a Western RPG in your portfolio currently. Lionhead is gone. Press Play is gone. You lost your platformer with Matt's Curse Brotherhood and Kalimba. Mahjong, you got purchased for, you know, what it was, $2.5 billion. Minecraft is not exclusive. The game that they came out with, Cobalt, that game flopped. I'm just like,
that game
the
was also
moves,
bad.
Yeah, it's just overall bad. I'm just like,
I was so disappointed that literally Cobalt was in my top 5 games for buying an Xbox. So I was like, oh, these are the guys who made Minecraft. Like they're gonna finally make something different. Like, let's give it a shot. I'm always about giving developers another chance.
Right.
Like, okay, I want to see you try to make something different. And they did it. It's like, nope. Why did I expect direction, like a strong narrative or anything in regards to a 2D side scroller from the epitome of no direction game design, where Minecraft is literally, yeah, you're out, go figure it out. Like, I don't know why I was expecting anything different.
Right. So you know, I'm thinking about these things, and don't get me wrong, Microsoft has had 3 great holidays. You know, listen, I'll go through each game and what I liked and what I didn't like. I loved Rise, Son of Rome. I loved Dead Rising 3. Thought those were great games. I didn't play Forza Motorsport. I'm not a Forza Motorsport fan. Tomb Raider was great. They don't own that game. They don't own Rise. Sunset Overdrive was a really good game, but I didn't like it because I couldn't get used to jumping around and grinding on everything. It became annoying.
Oh, you're like that reviewer who gave it a 5 out of 10 because you couldn't figure out how to jump.
That's not what it was. I knew how to jump and knew how to play the game. I just felt that the constant moving made the game annoying. It was too tedious to constantly be moving and having things coming at you, especially when you're in a box. You're going left, you're going right, you're jumping down, you're jumping up, you're rolling, you're bouncing. Like, I get it. You got to constantly move to stay alive. I just found it repetitive and I found it annoying. It wasn't that the game was bad. The game wasn't a bad game. I just didn't like the mechanic of constantly being on the move while playing. So for me, I wasn't a fan of the game. I have the game. I barely scratched the surface of the game because I literally cannot play the game that way. That's just not who I am as a gamer. I can't do it. Followed by Quantum Break, which was really, really good to me. Ori and the Blind Forest was amazing. Dead Rising 4, I have the game, but I haven't started playing it yet, and I haven't heard great things about it. Halo 5 was good. I thought Halo's 5 multiplayer was amazing, and I thought the campaign was solid. Gears of War has been pretty good. It's different from the original Gears. It's a little bit softer. It's almost like they're rebooting the franchise, and you're still fighting the locust. That's how I feel about the game. And I haven't completed the game 100% yet, but I'm still playing the title, and it's good. Forza Horizon 3, absolutely amazing, stunning game. I didn't pick up Forza Motorsport 6 because I don't like Forza Motorsport. I don't like realistic racers. I'm not a sim guy. As I start going through that list, as I start going through that list, what winds up happening is I'm like, okay, there's a lot of titles that I would love for Xbox to get, and Xbox has thought about and have a conversation with Phil, but I'm not seeing it. And you have all these people requesting these games, and these things aren't happening. And of course, this is all of these games are under the Don Matrick era, so I do have to take that into consideration. But then I sat here and I'm like, dude, for the next 6 months, Xbox One is getting 2 Xbox games. Not Xbox One, not Xbox 360, Xbox. We don't know when Below's coming out. That game is just below radar. We don't know when that's ever going to drop. Cuphead is in, date hell. It's like it's possibly going to come out spring. It may not come out spring. We don't know because they're still working on the title. Ashen is nowhere to be found. There's a lot of games that were supposed to come out on the Idea Xbox program that wound up going to PlayStation and didn't even release on Xbox for whatever reason with Idea Xbox program. I don't know what happened. And I'm like, yo, I'm not picking up Halo Wars, and there's only 2 games coming out within 6 months. We're not getting any clue of what's happening with Scorpio. No surprises, no nothing. You've had all this bad press, and and then I started thinking to myself, the problem isn't Xbox. The problem is Microsoft. Microsoft is holding them back. I've always felt like that. We've always felt like that. We weren't getting proper marketing for some of the smaller titles like Recore, Quantum Break, Sunset Overdrive. We didn't understand why we weren't seeing the big marketing that we would see for games like Forza and Halo. You would see those games everywhere. And these are supposed to be exclusive titles, and they weren't getting that. They put the big money into the games they felt would make money, and smaller advertising into games that were either third-party exclusives or timed exclusives. But that didn't draw the people in, and the people weren't buying the games out the gate. People forget Sunset Overdrive actually didn't sell amazingly well when it came out. It actually was almost a flop, and then they wound up putting it on Games with Gold, I think it was, or they gave people an opportunity to play for free. That's what I'm saying. So it goes to show you that they have a lot of good titles, but they haven't been knocking it out the park. There's nothing that's impressed me with Sony for a very long time until recently with Horizon Zero. So
yeah, notice how Microsoft does their marketing though. If you really think about it, like when it comes to the Halo, Gears, and Forza, they'll do months of promotion. You'll see random stuff here and there, like it's just everywhere. But it's just
right.
When you look at like the smaller stuff, like Halo Wars 2 is a good example. Notice all the marketing that's come with that. There's been 2 commercials, which is fine. It's expected. But then it's pictures of street art, doing a little Twitter game. Mm-hmm. It doesn't cost that much, honestly, and that's
what I'm saying. And that's why I'm like, and then you got Microsoft
viral marketing.
Microsoft. I'm sorry. I just want to try to get this out the way because I know that we got the rest of the show and I want to knock it out. But I just want to really quickly say, and I'll let you get to what you're saying, Anchor, that Microsoft as a company has to do these things because they're a company, they're a conglomerate. They have a whole bunch of other things they have to worry about. They don't have to worry about Xbox because Xbox is not their main thing. Sony's main thing is PlayStation now. That's what they rely on. So they have no choice but to put all their backing and investing in Sony. And I don't feel that Microsoft does the same thing for Xbox. You know what I'm saying? They don't give them the backing and the budget anymore like they did on 360. You think about 360, when all those games on 360 came out, even if they were timed, we didn't know they were timed. We didn't know Mass Effect wasn't an exclusive at the time. Actually, it wasn't exclusive at the time until EA bought BioWare. But you had Mass Effect 2, those were exclusive. You had Bioshock, that was exclusive. You had the Lost Odysseys and the Blue Dragons and the Infinite Undiscoveries, the Tales of Vesperius.
All these titles was exclusive for a year.
But it was still exclusive, and nobody knew about the time exclusivity of it for a minute. And then eventually it wound up hitting PS4. But that's what I'm saying. Like, those were major big titles with major big companies. And now these other companies that they're doing deals with, those games aren't panning out the way I think they want them to. And it could be that they're selecting the wrong people, but those games aren't panning out. And Microsoft really needs to both focus on first party studios and stuff like that. And then I talked about how they should be able to have 343 and the coalition make at least another pair of games. Everybody killed me on that. So I said, okay, fine. They can't make another game. Then Microsoft, like you said, Anchor, at one point, should be able to have some sort of program where people are promoted throughout their studios. If you have 343 and you have the coalition, you have these developers and smaller developers working under them, juniors, producers, and they're not executive producers and they're not directors, but they're under these guys. They're being groomed. You open up a new studio and you take these guys from the coalition and 343 and you put them in a new studio and say, hey, give me something, make me something, and that's how you get a new studio, because these guys have experience between Halo and Gears of War and how to develop, and they can create something. They're not doing that. They're leaving these people here until they get pissed off and they leave and they no longer want to make Halo. They no longer want to make Forza. They no longer want to make Gears. And you're sitting there with those amount of studios. And that's the frustrating part about it. The frustrating part about it is not that I'm against Xbox. I love Xbox. It's the simple fact that Microsoft, in my decision, in my opinion, are just making moves to make sure that they make money, but not invest in it for the fans. The Xbox fans, in my opinion, are forgotten. You've put in all the exclusives on PC, something I've never agreed with. However, I support because I understand software sells, and software is more important than hardware because that's where the money is. And I get the whole Windows 10 dynamic, but even those Windows 10 games, they aren't killing it. They're not breaking 1.5 million, 2.5 million on PC. Half the time, those games don't even work. They work better on the Xbox One. So it says a lot to me. And we spoke to Phil 3 years ago, B. 3 years ago, we was talking about Japan and how important it was. And Phil is just now heading out to Japan in 2017, bro.
Yep.
All these games not coming to play Xbox, not because PlayStation has a deal with these companies, but because Japan is just not putting the games on Xbox because it doesn't sell. And it's taken 3 years for someone to notice to go out to Japan and say, hey, what do we got to do to get these games on Xbox? Why aren't they coming? This is why I'm upset. This is why. And now you want to do this because you know what? Scorpio's coming out. And you don't want the same thing to happen to Scorpio that's happening with Xbox One. That's why I was going off. And I'm trying to explain to people, it's not an Xbox thing. It's a Microsoft thing because it's the suits. And Xbox is not really as important as they try to make it out to be. It's a cloud-first, mobile-first world for Microsoft, and that's important to them in order for Microsoft as a company to survive. But to me, it's partially damaging to Xbox as a brand and a console for gaming, because you want to expand out into these devices and these networks, but it hurts the console as far as distribution is concerned. So there's a lot of things that's happening, and it's not just Xbox, it's Microsoft and what they're doing on the sides. And they're putting a lot of money in services, and in my opinion, not enough into the Xbox gamers. That's my point. I'm passionate about Xbox. I don't hate Xbox. And it's not that I'm trying to go off or, turn into some type of PlayStation fanboy, anything like that. I love gaming, period. But I'm very passionate about Xbox. And when it comes to certain things that I don't see happening, or I'm concerned about, I want to be able to express myself. And I think that on Twitter, when I went on that rant, I thought I had earned the right to be able to speak my mind to the people who support us, because we have been doing this for such a long time. And in the end, I got, get off the cliff. Are you slitting your wrist? You know what I'm saying? I got people like, back away. What are you drinking? Get off the PlayStation Kool-Aid. Like, why? Why does it have to be a PlayStation? Why can't I just be a fan looking at what I've gotten and be a little wary of what I've gotten? And not too excited until I see what's happening at E3 in 6 months. For 6 months, I'll be playing multiplats. That's what I'll be doing for 6 months. Or hop on the PS4 Pro and play some PS games. That's crazy for 6 months. I'm just saying, for 6 months. Just think about that, guys. If this was PlayStation and all the Xbox fans heard that PlayStation had 2 PS2 games to play for 6 months, every Xbox gamer would be going crazy right now and killing PlayStation 4. They would be. They would have all types of signs. They would have all types of memes. PlayStation has no games. The PlayStation's playing PS2 games in 1080p. Look at the power. 50% more. It would be all types of gifts and all types of jokes and stuff. But I talk about how Xbox is doing it, and I'm the bad guy. I'm not being a hypocrite. I'm being honest, and nobody wants the real. Nobody wants real. People want to continue to believe this facade, and somebody has to say something, because if not, then the fans will still be stuck in this glaze that everything is perfect when it's not. Xbox needs to step their game up, and that's exactly what it's all about.
Well, you said it, man. I've been saying this for a while. I always felt like they've been kind of taking some steps backwards, and this is the year where they got to take some huge steps forward. And unfortunately, we have to wait until E3 to see what they have and, see what the future holds for Xbox. But this first 6 months is kind of dry out here. And people who, are denying it, you can't.
Yeah.
You got to look at the 6 months and see what you got to play. A lot of people are high on Halo Wars 2. It's reviewed very well. It's got some high ratings. But it's RTS game. It doesn't appeal to everyone. And releasing 2 original Xbox games and no sign of any other game, no information. Like, I don't understand why they have to be so secretive about what they're doing for this year. Like, the games are coming this year. Why are you not hyping them up at all? You know what I mean? So I guess we just have to wait till E3 and see what happens.
I mean, here's the thing. For me personally, I don't personally have a problem because I have so many multi-plats and crap. My backlog's insane. I like the downtime personally, but I'm not everybody. I do not represent the gaming community. This is just me on an individual level. I personally don't have a problem. But again, like I said before, I do not represent the gaming community, and it is a problem that Microsoft has this cycle of they focus on a year. And what they do is they say, okay, we're going to announce everything at E3, and we're going to front load it in the first 6 months at E3, and then we're going to just kind of spread out whatever random stuff we have out until the next E3, right around January moving forward. And that is such a problem because one thing I do like about Microsoft is that they keep their vision short term. They show you what's coming out within the next year or so, normally. There are a couple of exceptions to that. Cuphead, Scalebound, just those are some exceptions to this, but normally they focus on what's coming up immediately, and I like that. Sony does, they show you, here's what's coming up next, and here's what's coming out in the next year and a half or so. They show you a lot of what's coming, going on long term, and it always have some. It leaves people with something to look forward to, which is great.
Right.
And the thing with Microsoft though is if they're going to do the short term thing, they have to have 2 events. You can't be doing just E3. You got to have something at the beginning of the year and something in the middle of the year to balance it out. Because people right now are like, why do I have an Xbox? Why am I even playing here? Like, there's nothing exclusive. There's no reason for me to have this. And like, to think about the biggest news for the last 2 months has been, oh, we're getting Fallout Shelter, a game that's been out for 2 years, on mobile, free. Like, I mean, I don't even want to play it honestly. I play it all the time on my phone. I'm not going to play it for achievements. I thought about it, but I'm like, I'm not playing this. Like, why? But I'm like, that's one of the biggest news pieces that comes out. It's just like, all right, why? Microsoft needs to adopt this whole. If they're going to keep the short-term messaging, which I prefer, they got to have 2 events. Like, you can't just leave people hanging like this. It doesn't even have to be a physical event people go to. Just do it have Phil sitting down at a presidential desk with an Xbox flag on the left and a flag of like a teaser on the whatever the game is next thing, the next big teaser thing on the right hand side. Have that and sit down at the desk. Like, here's the games you're coming out next. Bam, bam, bam. Just like, here's the next 6 months. We'll see you at E3.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what needs to happen.
I think the weirdest thing is that we know that Phantom Dust and Voodoo Events are coming, but they still don't have a release date. there's been conversation back and forth between like Phil and Shannon Loftus on Twitter, and they're like, or Aaron Greenberg, and they say like, oh well, Shannon Loftus has a date for that, like, where it's, you know, it's up to her. It's like, why are you not talking about it? Like, it's literally about to be March in a couple of days. So when are you going to release it? March, April, May. It's coming out before E3. So like, if you're going to release it soon, why are you not talking about it? Why are you not getting people excited about it? Like, this is stuff. It's your product that you want to sell to somebody, but you're not talking about it. I just don't understand.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
like they need an event, like it's a small digital event. Show it. Show what you got coming. That's it.
Yeah, man. I felt that way for a minute. That's what I said right after the whole Scalebound thing. They needed a show, and they're banking on Scorpio, and I think they're putting too much on Scorpio. They're putting too much on Scorpio, and I don't think they should do that. I think Scorpio is going to be an amazing device. I just don't think they should do that, and it's not worrisome because I think that they're going to deliver at E3. I think they don't have much choice after everything. I think they're going to have an amazing E3. People are asking me, why don't I talk about Sony's last 6 months? I don't have to, because Sony released Uncharted 4 and a few other titles early in the year, and then they released Neo just now and some other games earlier this year that have all been pretty good. They've had a solid lineup. Last year at winter, yes, during the fall season, Xbox, in my opinion, had the better lineup. Of course, absolutely. It's not to say that Sony didn't, try to put something out, but at the same time, it wasn't like they put out 2 PS2 games for the next 6 months. That's all I'm saying. So, it's just a crazy situation. And I truly hope that, this E3, they deliver. I really do.
Like that's the thing.
So that's what the whole
holiday season, like let Sony have the first half. Like, that's fine. Let them have it. Let them put out their big titles in the beginning half of the year. That's fine. Mm-hmm. But then, but the other 6 months better be all fan service. Small, little, cheap little titles just to keep people hyped. Just keep people hyped about it. That's all they got to do.
Right. So, we're going to move on from that. I'm just saying that, like I said, I'm not bashing Xbox. I'm not. I just want Microsoft to allow Xbox to be Xbox and for Xbox gamers, man. If you don't want that, then I don't know what to tell you. If you're happy with what you're getting right now, and I'm not saying you shouldn't be happy, but if you're happy with what you're getting, then by all means, then don't say anything and let it be. But there's a conglomerate of Xbox gamers out there that always want more, and we should always demand more and better from the things that we pay our money for. We're still consumers. Even if I am media, even if I am a podcaster, I podcast for Xbox, and that's my favorite console, I should demand more if it's possible to be delivered. I know Microsoft and Xbox is capable of doing it because I've seen it with Xbox and I've seen it with Xbox 360. So, let's step our game up.
All right.
So we're moving on. E3 2017. Hey, that was a big subject. E3 2017 is a big deal. Now, we all know Microsoft moved their event to Sunday. And there's a rumor going around about Microsoft having an exclusive deal with Bethesda for a new game. Now, here's the thing. There's a number of reasons why this actually sounds plausible. It really does sound plausible. Number one, Microsoft has a great relationship with Bethesda. You got the Todd Howard talking about Fallout running on VR. The Bethesda games has always sold amazingly well on Xbox, from Fallout to Skyrim, the Elder Scrolls series, Morrowind. It all started on the Xbox. So they have a great relationship with Bethesda. They have marketing deals on Fallout as well, and they also have marketing deals with the Elder Scrolls series. So that was great for the Xbox brand. The cancellation of Scalebound, their event to Sunday, it rings a lot to me that this could be possibly true. This is an absolute rumor. I'm not saying this is happening. I'm just saying this could be true, and here's why this sounds almost right. Microsoft and the Xbox brand working with Bethesda on an exclusive title makes sense because, one, The whole thing with Scalebound didn't work out. One of the key things Phil said in that tweet was that he felt canceling Scalebound was the right thing to do for the Xbox gamers. Not continuing that franchise, to cancel the money that was being tossed into that game, because that game wasn't coming out. It wasn't coming out this year. I can tell you that right now. It was going to get delayed again, probably either at the end of 2017 or the beginning of 2018. It was a money pit. And as much as I wanted that game, and so many other Xbox fans wanted that game, it was something they couldn't sustain financially. Because again, they have a board to answer to. They have people they have to answer to. It's not Sony, where you could just keep throwing money at the project or just hold on to it until you eventually get it done. So that wound up getting canceled. So the money that they were putting in that game wound up going to obviously something else. On top of that, Microsoft moving their event to Sunday says two things about me. One, their event happens before Bethesda's event. If there is an announcement for something for Bethesda, Bethesda doesn't have to wait for this megaton surprise to happen on Monday, which was Microsoft's conference. Microsoft talks about the new game at their show on Sunday in the early morning, and then Bethesda, or not morning, comes on at 2 p.m. Pacific time, but they talk about it in the early afternoon. Bethesda's event is around 5 o'clock. And Bethesda's able to then talk about the rest of the game or go more in depth with the game at their conference even more and talk about it without holding on to this news of this new title till Monday, because Microsoft's event is on Monday. Also, it could be something where they've been working with Scorpio. Some of the two kits have gone out. We've already heard about this and stuff like that. So a lot of this stuff is under NDA. A lot of this stuff is under wraps. It's a big deal if this was to happen. And with the relationship between Microsoft, Scorpio, Bethesda, the changing of events, it seems plausible that this game that Anchorman keeps talking about, Starfall, could possibly be a major exclusive for the Xbox One, the title that I think Microsoft needs to put them back on the map.
I call BS.
What are your guys' thoughts on that? You call BS?
No. Here's the thing. As the resident Bethesda fanboy, I must speak on this. I call BS because I want to say one thing. When was the last time Bethesda remained an exclusive game?
I don't know.
I remember.
What was it?
Never.
Was it in Morrowind? When did Morrowind hit? Morrowind was on Xbox. It was on PC.
Then I'm saying still a exclusive game. We're talking real exclusive.
Wasn't it exclusive? I don't remember Morrowind going to PlayStation or any other platform.
That's a beautiful thing about the internet. We can check that out. Let's see.
Okay.
But anyway, my whole thing is Bethesda making it exclusive is I just don't see them ever doing that. So the other thing, I don't like if there was ever any exclusive game, it is going to be the most bare bones game you have ever seen. Like this would be like, oh yeah, we're bringing another mobile game. Here you go. I just do not.
Why can't it happen though? It's the same thing that happened with people telling me about KOTOR. It doesn't make sense for them to do it. They're not going to do it. EA doesn't need the money. Who gives a damn if EA and Disney don't need the money? Make them an offer and try to lock up the deal.
I think the only reason you don't do that is because like they look at the history, especially like the whole situation with like Tomb Raider or whatever. Like people were outraged about that, and you don't want to like piss off the people who fund your company. So I don't know if they would technically go with exclusive just for that reason alone, but I mean it'd be tough. I mean it'd be exciting if it was. It's definitely something
we're not
Microsoft needs.
If it's exciting or not, like that.
But
that would be huge.
Yeah, but
right.
I think that is also something that can get you in trouble very quickly. With the fan base that's been stretched across multiple platforms, and especially when you're one of the biggest companies out there, and if you make an exclusive game, for one company or the other.
Here's the thing.
That's a big shot, man.
Bro, if Rockstar came out with Agent, you know how big Rockstar is? That's an exclusive deal.
You see it ain't came out though.
But I'm just saying, not to say that it can't on it. I mean, that license is still available. I mean, the trademark is still available. They just renewed the trademark in the name. Unless they come out and it goes multi-plat.
I don't think
Rockstar comes out with an exclusive title. But I heard his was shout out to Jabril Wilson on Twitter. He gave me a heads up on one of the reasons why Rockstar wound up doing Agent for PlayStation. And that was because actually LA Noire was supposed to be a PlayStation exclusive. But for whatever reason, it didn't work out, and they wound up releasing it as a multi-platform game. So they decided to do Agent in return to make up for LA Noire, but the game didn't come out for whatever reason. Whatever reason, Agent was in limbo. But for some reason, that trademark constantly gets renewed. It's never let go. Game can't come out, but we just don't know when. If Rockstar is capable, and Rockstar was still Rockstars, they were still big during that time. So if they're capable of doing it, I don't see why Bethesda isn't capable of doing it. I think people see these megaton companies and like, why do the deal? It doesn't make sense. But for me, I see Sony do this stuff all the time, bro. And to me, why is it so hard for people to accept that Microsoft might be able to get it done, whereas Sony tries to get it done all the time?
I just like I said before, it's Bethesda. Like Bethesda, they've tried for the longest time. Like they do not do exclusive stuff for anybody. Like the only reason stuff ends up being exclusive, there's a technical problem. Like that's pretty much the reason why pretty much all the DLC for Skyrim was exclusive, simply because like they just would not get it to work on PlayStation. Like it was pretty much the only reason why.
Hey,
and I just don't see them doing it, especially the way Bethesda is being positioned right now. Bethesda's trying to become, they're on the step to being EA or Ubisoft. They're trying to be a big publisher now.
Yeah.
Like, look at the games they've put out the last 3 years. They've tried to push games people have been wanting, games people even didn't want, but now do want. Like a new Wolfenstein game,
right.
A new Doom,
right.
Dishonored 2,
right.
Fallout 4, like now Prey.
No. They're doing amazing. They're doing an amazing job.
Themselves, they're like, hey, we're a big publisher now. We got it going on. And for them to do that, you alienate a little bit of your fan base there. Like if the only way it could work is if it was a new franchise, and even then it couldn't be this big big RPG kind of deal. Like I can't see it being a Bethesda RPG. I just can't see it. The only way you could get it exclusive, is it would have to be a power thing. And the only way that would work is if it was exclusive to Scorpio, which is not happening.
Man, maybe they're like, hey, I'm just saying.
It has to, everything in Scorpio has to run on Xbox One S. Or at least One S. Well, yeah.
You know how many things Microsoft's reneged on, bro? I would not. If I'm Phil Spencer, I'm reneging hard, bro, for this exclusive, bro. I'd be like, hey, listen, guys, I know I told you everything is going to run, but listen, look at this game. Just look at this game for 1 second. Slide. Y'all can have everything else, but let this one slide. I'm just saying.
Now, the only way you can get it to work is if you said, all right, like, and I'm pulling something. I'm saying I'm going to say Bethesda's acting uncharacteristically Bethesda for a moment, and they say, okay, we'll do it exclusive, but Scorpio's got to be the base hardware.
I say yes. All Xbox fans can hate me until they get in this game.
I think the only way it's exclusive if it's a VR title. I think that's the only way that they could justify saying that it's an exclusive is because they can say Microsoft's platform allows this higher fidelity VR, and that's the reason why this game is exclusive.
Now, and there's you say there, B, you got it.
And here's the red tape. And
real game. We're not talking Starfield. We're not talking all that kind of stuff. Like
it could be a real game, except
quote unquote exclusive. Is if you say, all right, we're only bringing Fallout VR and Doom VR to Vive, and Vive will only work on PC or Xbox Scorpio.
Yeah.
And that's fine. And that's fine. And you could be like, you know what? And we got this new IP that's exclusive to Scorpio because of VR. But the red tape is that you can use it with VR or not. And then you go, and you're good to go.
But that's
You
not
can
really
use it with
exclusive
VR or
game.
not.
That's like saying, okay, did what's it called? Did Resident Evil 7, was that exclusive because it had VR on PlayStation?
Hey, I'm being illogical. Let me be illogical for a moment. Jesus Christ,
We're
Anchorman,
trying
you
to
ain't
get
gonna
him
fall
one,
out.
man.
Word. All right, let's move on. That's a rumor, man. I'm just teasing about the whole situation. I clearly understand that Bethesda is not going to be doing any exclusives, but hey, if it happens, it happens. I would be utterly shocked if that was to occur and be shown off at. That is a rumor. That is not a fact. So please keep that in mind as you talk about Tick Podcast amongst your friends and leave comments. All right, so we're going to finish up the show, man. First and foremost, Phil Spencer heading out to Japan. Looking at coming to Xbox, it's about damn time. I said this on Twitter. It's really important that that niche come to the platform. Very important that it comes to the platform. Not just because, like I said, I had the whole rant about Kingdom Hearts 2.5 or 2.8 or whatever it was, Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2.
To a 2.8 final chapter prelude.
Where it was exactly like that's what I'm saying. Like I had this big thing about it. Like, why bring Kingdom Hearts 3 if you're not going to give the Xbox fans the sequels, the prequels as well, so they can understand what they're playing if they've never played it on PS2. If they were diehard Xbox fans, but they were interested in the game, and they've never played it, why keep that from them? YouTube. I really felt at odds about it. The Final Fantasy 30th anniversary deal. They had the 30th anniversary deal on Xbox. When I opened it up, you know what was in there? A bunch of 15 DLC. I was like, what is this? What type of scam is this? But they have all of these games coming out from the SNES era and the PlayStation era coming out on, and that's the 30th anniversary, all on one disc, like an anthology, what's it called, an anthology or a compilation of like all these games on one disc from Final Fantasy 1 all the way up to 9, which is incredible to me, including the soundtracks and art and steel books and like all of this stuff. 30 years of Final Fantasy, So, and I'm like, why? Why is that? Those games, the SNE games wasn't on PlayStation. How are they getting it, but the Xbox doesn't get it? I don't understand. Like, I'm really I'm baffled by this. The Tales series hasn't returned to Xbox. Obviously it didn't sell, but Bandai Namco is putting a ton of other games on Xbox, that aren't. Fantasy 15 sold great for a JRPG coming to Xbox, not in comparison to PlayStation. PlayStation, that's where the base is. Xbox fans are way more niche when it comes to RPGs than they are on the PlayStation side of things. But the thing still broke at least 1 million. You figure it did like 800 something thousand retail. It was already over 1 million if you add digital sales. So to me, that was a big deal. And man, I'm really hoping that Phil goes out to Japan. He speaks to who he wants to speak to. I mentioned my top 3 publishers. If I'm him, I talk to Miss Walker first because I already have a great relationship with them at one point, and I would want to re-up either a new title, a Lost Odyssey, or some new RPG with them. Second studio I talk to is Square to get the games that should be on Xbox because they're not licensed to PlayStation as some type of exclusive deal. And then I would talk with like Bandai Namco to get the Tales series. Somebody mentioned Team Ninja to bring back Ninja Gaiden. That's another series that I think would be really great to bring over, or maybe get Hellblade or something like that. Like, these games are not locked in exclusive deals. They're just releasing on the PlayStation platform. And don't get me wrong, there are some funded deals that Sony is doing, and it makes sense. Japanese studios working with Japanese studios is all in the same hometown. The Xbox literally is not existent in Japan, but there's still a large base in the West. There's still a large base in America. There's still a large base in the UK, South America, Australia, Mexico. So that still want to play these games, and I think that they should be brought over. And I really hope Phil is successful in his endeavor, especially with Scorpio coming out, because a lot of people, as a continued system, and that's what it is, a part of the same family, but it's also a fresh start for Xbox and Xbox going into the future, because eventually Xbox One, as the next iteration of Xbox has come out, and Scorpio will eventually have his own exclusives at some point.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I think it's about damn time that he went over there and tried to right the ship. Like you mentioned, I think you should definitely go after games that have been coming out and companies that have been putting out games on your platform, but have been picking and choosing which games land on a platform. If I'm looking at it, I definitely want to have Bandai Namco, Square, and even Sega and Atlas at the table and try to figure out, why Yakuza isn't on, the Xbox platform.
Right.
Why isn't why is there no Digimon game? Why is there, from Bandai Namco? Why is I Am Setsuna being released on a Switch, but it didn't release on Xbox? You know what I mean? So those are the type of conversations I want to have. Like Persona 5 is going to be a big game this year. Why has that, not been announced to come to Xbox? So he's definitely got a lot of work to do. The best thing I think he can do is try to even the playing field, get a lot of those games that have been released on other platforms to be released on yours. And then, if there's, a particular dev out there that you can maybe go after and maybe just make some smaller games, some AA games, and just to see, gauge the interest and see if people actually pick those up. That'll probably be the best way to go about it.
Yeah, start small, work your way up. I 100% agree.
Honestly though,
Anchor.
I think the only
We
one
played
he needs to
Fallout?
work on, if you could only pick one, it's got to be Square. Square's got their hands in everything. I mean, like, people in the West will appreciate the relationship with Square the most.
Hey, you know
I'm
what
not
Square
just
could
saying
do?
that because I just want to play the Avengers game.
Okay, you got that. I give you that. You snuck that in there. All right, I give you that. Avengers game does have my interests. I definitely agree. But that's such a Western game. It's an Avengers, like it's the American. It's like arrows. You know what I'm saying? So I would expect that to release on. Could you imagine Avengers not releasing on Xbox? Oh my god!
Yeah, that would
be crazy. People.
I probably wouldn't be able to forgive Phil. Like, how could you do this to me? How could you do this to me?
People would lose their minds. Crazy, man. It wouldn't be a good look if that was to happen. But Phil definitely has his work cut out for him, man. I don't know if everybody's gonna hop on the Xbox in Japan to make games in the West. If Phil has to work out some deals to get some exclusive titles or smaller titles, maybe that didn't come out on Xbox 2 years ago, whatever he's got to do, he needs to do it, and continue to start building those relationships back with the Japanese developers to keep those guys in the loop, even if the games don't sell well, even if the games aren't selling. Like, honestly, a lot of Japanese games aren't even selling like they used to. Let's just keep it real. Games are not hitting the mark like they did back in the early 2000s and 90s. Japan is not a major player the way they used to be. However, you still need to be able to keep those guys in the loop just to keep your library diverse and not be alienated by the people who play those games around the world. That's why it's really important Microsoft pursues this. I know a lot of Xbox fans are like, man, those stupid Japanese games and all this stuff like that. It's like, come on, man, get over yourself. A game is a game, no matter where it's made. And if the quality is good, it should be worth looking at the end of the day. And if your platform isn't getting every title that it possibly can get to use it as a strength for its own library, then your own platform. That's my whole thing. Why settle for less? You know what I'm saying? Like, Xbox is not a bargain basement console. It shouldn't be a companion console to PS4, and it shouldn't be a companion console to the Nintendo Switch. It should be a main console, and your choice of selection between the Switch and the PlayStation is what you do. Especially if you're an Xbox gamer, and you should demand more from both the developers, the publishers. I mean, Bonnie Ross came out talking about making Halo story simplistic. What? How about you just make a better story? How about we just improve the quality? You know what I'm saying? Like, Like, we've been playing Halo since 2000 something. Like, are we stupid? Like, we can't comprehend what's happening in the stories. We get what's happening in the stories. We're just not fans of the stories. Like, fix the stories. That's really what it comes down to, man. That's what it's all about. Just quality. Continue to improve the quality of your games. You've done a good job so far with some really good IPs. I really liked Halo 5. I really did. A lot of people didn't like it. I love the dynamic between Locke and Chief. To me, they were pretty much almost the same character. I swear to you. Both of them were so stoic. They barely had any dialogue. It was like you was looking at the same character, except Locke had a really cool Spartan suit. From Blue Team. You don't know who Blue Team is if you don't know the story. All of a sudden, you've been Master Chief for decades, and now he's with a group. If you've never read a Halo book, you don't even know how this happened or who these people are or the significance of these people in the game. And then you just completely ignore that, ignore both sides, and go right into this whole thing with Cortana, which to me just threw everything off from Halo 4. So there's a lot of things that they need to fix. As far as that's concerned, Gears of War is starting fresh, new generation, new era. They have time to work on that. I truly hope the Coalition gets back to working on Shanghai or whatever game that they had shelved. I really do. Coalition, they've never said that they were going to only exclusively do Gears Studio, but I truly hope that they do work on at least another title, unlike 343, that is literally completely dedicated to happens with that, man. We'll see what happens with that. But listen, man, that's it. That's it for our show this week.
Before we get out of here, I got to bring up these two things. One, there's a rumor that Phil may have walked away from Playground's open world game. And then did you guys see the article today from Game Informer about Sunset Overdrive 2?
Yep, read that.
Yep, read that too.
I'm glad Sunset Overdrive will have a sequel. It will exist. Just we don't know when or where or what's going on with it.
Yeah. As I said on Twitter, I am all for Sunset Overdrive 2 as long as I am not a human frog. If I'm not a human frog in that game, I will definitely pick the title up. As far as Phil and the rumor of Playground, I heard this Playground game possibly an RPG. If this game turns out to be really good, because I heard Phil has passed on this title. Okay, it's an amazing studio with what they've done with Forza Horizon 3. That what they've done going from a racing game to can't translate over. But at the same time, I really hope that the game to be good. And if it's good, I'll be completely disappointed in Microsoft that they pass up on this title. Opportunity to get your hands on it first and do it. So we'll see what happens. Very excited. All right, guys. So that's it for our show this week. I will be back next week, along with Anchorman and B Money. Stay tuned as always. Mondays with Multiverse Podcast. You also have which comes on bi-weekly. Of course, I will return with Super Podcast next week. Finally, I've been on hiatus, and of course, Tick Podcast returning every Thursday. And don't forget Double XP Podcast, our debate show on the Fame Entertainment Channel. I'm your host, KLRSKLL, the last on the planet Xbox with B Money 101 and Anchorman V, and we are off this planet. Peace, guys. Have a great night.